terrorism and violence among Muslims. That's probably the biggest issue right now.
Let me ask you, in this climate that we live in right now, do you find there are a lot of people still taking Shahada and coming to Islam?
I think the irony is that probably more than ever, more people becoming Muslims, despite all the negative things written against Islam. Reminded of a verse in the Quran, وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ, and they plan and they plot, and Allah plans and Allah is the best of planners. So even though people may plan and plot against Islam and the demise of Islam and the demise of the Muslims, the irony is that Islam is still growing. I read a report that suggested that there are 135,000 new converts a year. I can't prove it, but then again I can't disprove it. And it's the numbers are probably correct. If you think about it, there are probably at least 2,000 masters in America. And even if you had one conversion a week, that's 2,000 people becoming Muslims a week, and you multiply it by 52. So you start to get a lot of Muslims, and I'm sure in some places, some instances, there's more than one person a week becoming Muslim.
Sure,
yes.
Sure. So Imam, let me ask you.
And not only that, but we have right now about 300,000 Muslims in the prisons of the United States. And many of them was converted in prison, like Malcolm X and many other. So in terms of just the sheer propagation of Islam in the prisons, in the colleges and universities, tomorrow I'll be giving a lecture at the University of Massachusetts.
Imam, when you speak in the universities, there are a lot of students there. Are they enthusiastic about hearing the message of Islam? And do you find that there's a lot of follow-up and people actually accepting Islam?
Virtually every week, I'm giving a lecture in 2 or 3 universities across the country. And many of the students, many of them become Muslims. And then you have...
but let me ask you, when you give lectures in the colleges, what is the makeup of the audience? And do they really feel excited to hear something about Islam?
I'll give you one example. I gave a lecture 2 weeks ago at Texas State University in a place near Austin, Texas. And the auditorium, the topic was Jesus in light of the Quran. What the Muslims say about Jesus. And the place was standing room only. The auditorium was filled up. Professors, students. I counted maybe 2 African Americans, most of them white. I counted a handful of Muslims, most of them non-Muslims, most of them Christians. The place was so packed, literally they stood with me, some of them sat on the front with me, on the sidelines, in the aisle, every seat taken, people standing up in the back. The response was tremendous. I'll give you an idea how tremendous it was. A few professors in the beginning told me that, Imam, many of the students are going to have to leave early. So I'm going to kind of give you a heads up. If they start walking out, it's nothing to do with your lecture. They have another appointment. And I said, okay. I gave the talk, and we had to stop for prayer. And I said, we did a question and answer period about 10 minutes. And I said, you know what? I know a lot of you have to go. At that point, none of them left. I said, I know a lot of you have to go. What we're going to do, we're going to break for about 10 minutes. We're going to make our prayer, and we come back. I expected when I came back for there to be a handful of students. Every one of them stayed.
MashaAllah.
And one of the professors who got one of the most prestigious awards for teachers in all the state of Texas, he told me, he said, Imam, that was unbelievable. He said, I was sitting next to one of the Christian students who was a staunch Christian. And he said, this is unbelievable. I didn't know the Muslims had that view about Jesus. I didn't know they respected and loved Jesus that much. I had no idea. And he said, you did more for Islam ever in the annals of the history of Islam in this country for this university. And he said, the whole university should have heard you. So this is happening across the nation. Sometimes we have Muslim students in every university called the Muslim Student Association. And almost all of them have what is called a Muslim Awareness Week, where they try to teach the students about Islam. And many times you go to these places in the past, it's been basically Muslim students, handful of non-Muslims.
Right.
But now in some places you're getting just the opposite. And this is what we want. We want to expose non-Muslims to Islam, at least let them know what Islam is all about.
Right. Imam, I know your time is very valuable, but I just want to ask you, as I'm asking all of my interviewees, as this program is entitled Islam in America, from your vast experience traveling around meeting the Muslims and non-Muslims of this country, from your perspective, what do you see as the outlook for Islam in America?
Really, that's a good question. I'm very hopeful. I'm looking at the trends. The trends have been in the last few years that Islam is growing, A, in numbers, B, in institutions. I'll just give you an idea. In New York City alone, we have over 200 masjids in New York City, 35 full-time Muslim schools, thousands of Muslim businesses, and it's just growing. And despite having 35 full-time Muslim schools, we have 100,000 Muslim children going to public school in New York City. So we find Muslims in the very fabric of this society. For instance, our neighbors are Muslims, classmates, schoolmates, co-workers, some of the professional professors, teachers, dentists, the guy who works in the store on the corner, the owner of businesses are Muslims. So Islam is entrenched in this society, and all I can see is continue to grow in numbers and hopefully in quality.
Okay, Imam, thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. Okay, assalamu alaikum. And I hope that our viewers really enjoyed meeting Imam Siraj. He's one of the hardest working of the people involved in the dawah here in America. And I hope Allah will increase them in success and bring us some more more people like Imam Siraj. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
On mountains of Mecca, bear witness that to the oneness of Allah do I testify. For all that He's given me, how can I deny? My purpose in life should be only to cry. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah.